All right, we're having a video. Dee, thank you for those incredibly kind words. If we could just pause for a moment, I have a video I wanted to play.
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the Information Purification Directives. We have created, for the first time in all history, a garden of pure ideology, where each worker may bloom, secure from the pests of a contradictory thoughts. Our unification of thoughts is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people, with one will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
When I first saw that iconic ad, sitting in my living room with my parents and my abuelita, who didn't speak a lick of English, but understood that ad perfectly, what I saw was a bold vision about challenging the status quo and inspiring a new way of thinking. As I was reflecting on what theme I wanted my presidency as HNBA president to be this year, this ad came to mind. Because what I realized that is, I want to challenge the status quo. I want us to start thinking boldly of how to do that. Why? Because in the almost 30 years that I've been practicing law, the needle in the legal profession has moved, but not by much. The Apple ad spoke to me back then as it does now because it represents two values that I hold dear, two values that I know are also important to each and every one of you: resilience and hope. First, resilience. Each of you in this room have a remarkable story to tell of a challenge that you overcame in your lives, a challenge so big you didn't know how you were going to get through it. Yet here you are, because you are resilient. Resilience is likely something you learned from your family, as did I. My parents fled Spain under Francisco Franco's regime. Franco, for those of you who don't know him, overthrew the Spanish monarchy and became a dictator. He counted among his friends Hitler and Mussolini, just to tell you a little bit about how that man operated. My grandfather fought against Franco in the Spanish Civil War, and as a result, he was imprisoned as a political prisoner. Franco took everything from my family. So my parents left, and they came to the United States. They came here for the same reason that many of your families came here: for freedom and in pursuit of the American dream. But I want to pause for a moment, because while the ancestors of many of us in this room came here to this country voluntarily, the ancestors of many of our HNBA members did not. The ancestors of many of our HNBA members were captured, chained, and brought to this country against their will. For the pain and suffering that was caused, in particular, to my Afro-Latino brothers and sisters here, and for the damage that still persists to this day, I want to say that it will not go unrecognized during my tenure. But resilience did not just get my parents to the United States. It helped them survive here. Because while they found refuge in this country, prejudice still lurked in the shadows. I remember being a little girl and running an errand with my father one Saturday morning. And we went to a store, and my father, in his broken English, was trying to explain to the store owner how he had made a mistake. It was the first time in my young life that I heard someone call my father a spick. And I remember looking at my dad as the blood drained from his face. He didn't quite know how to react to that slur, how to respond in front of his little girl. And what I also saw in him in that moment is how he felt that in his broken English, he couldn't articulate himself. He lost confidence in his ability to speak. So at a young age, I became my parents' translator. I became their negotiator. I became their advocate. I suspect that many of you played a similar role growing up. You were smart, a problem solver, fearless, dependable, resilient. My resilience got me to Cornell, it got me to GW Law, and it got me to my first legal job as a prosecutor at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. I loved the law. I loved being in court. I loved protecting people, putting the bad guys in jail, and I was great at it. But as you likely know from your own experiences, life likes to test you. Life likes to make sure you stay on your toes, that you stay resilient. And I was tested when I decided to go to private practice. I went to work for a small firm, and for the first time in my life, I experienced discrimination. I'd always seen it through my parents' eyes, but this was directed at me. From the first day I started working, being called Christina Sanchez, to constantly being asked to interpret for the cleaning staff, to just not being given the same assignments that a lot of my white male counterparts were getting. I felt isolated. I felt alone. I felt a lot, I think, like my dad felt that day in the store. That small firm of narrow-minded lawyers made me feel less than, and it almost broke me. It almost made me quit the practice of law. Resilience wasn't working. Enter hope. When watching this ad, and I recognize that probably most of you in this room have never seen this ad because it's about 40 years old. But I know when you were watching this ad, whether for the first time or in 40 years, you weren't thinking, oh, that sucks for her, right? She's gonna get caught, she's trying to do something, she's gonna get defeated. Most of you are watching that ad with hope. Hope that her bold move would make a difference, would wake people up. Hope is what brought our families to this country. I vividly recall the day when my dad was sworn as a U.S. citizen. We dressed up in our Sunday best. We went down to the Southern District of New York courthouse. It was a really big deal. And I remember the judge swearing my dad in. It was the first time me being in court, first time seeing a judge, first time hearing about the law. And I still remember to this day the judge's words, how citizenship isn't just a privilege, it's a responsibility. So Judge Garcia, thank you very much for doing me the honor of swearing me in today. Thank you as well to Judge Vargas, to all the judges in the room, because the work that you do matters. It is important, often thankless. Lord knows you could be making more money in private practice, but without you, we wouldn't be where you are. We need you, and your words matter, so thank you for your service to us. That day in the courthouse, there were faces from all over the world, everyone filled with hope. Hope for freedom, hope for equality, hope for a better life for themselves and their children, and hope for opportunities. My parents made tremendous sacrifices for me from that moment on, certainly, because I was their hope. I was their future, as I'm sure you were for your parents. Yet going back to those dark hours at that small firm, I didn't feel resilient, and boy, I didn't feel hopeful. But then, I got a flyer in the mail. Imagine that, a flyer in the mail to attend a Hispanic Bar Association of DC event. I don't even know how they got my name. And that event changed the course of my career. I went to that first meeting. Ramona Romero was president, quite an inspiring woman, as we've learned today, or throughout the course of obviously her tenure, but today for receiving the award. Congratulations, Ramona. In that room, in that first meeting, I felt welcomed, I felt accepted, I felt understood. And I also appreciated, for the first time, that the challenges that I was dealing with weren't unique to me. Everybody seemed to be dealing with similar challenges. And it made me realize, while certainly not a perfect lawyer, I wasn't the problem. We weren't the problem. At that moment, the Hispanic Bar Association became my beacon of hope. I joined the HBADC that first meeting. I went on to be president of the HBADC, and then I went on to get involved with the national organization, the HNBA. One of the things that has always stood out to me about the HNBA is, to me, and especially today I look around in this room, it represents the very best of America. It doesn't matter whether we are Mexican, Cuban, or Puerto Rican. It doesn't matter whether we're gay, we're straight, we're Catholic, we're Jewish, whether Spanish is our first language, or we don't understand it at all, or you speak with a Castilian lisp. It doesn't matter whether we're Republican or Democrats. We are all able to put aside any differences and work together for a common goal. To me, that's the best of America. That experience, working with the HBA, DC, and HNBA, empowered me. It empowered me to leave that firm and join a bigger and better firm, now happily at Deckert, with really the best colleagues I could ever ask for. Thank you. And inspired me to prove how wrong they were. Similar to what Andre described, that chip, always keeping it there, reminding you of proving them wrong. I went on to get high-profile clients like Exxon, Apple. It's no mistake, I also picked an Apple ad, the National Basketball Players Association, and others. I went on to take high-profile cases, bet the company cases, where I saved my clients millions, if not billions of dollars. In fact, while certainly not easy, my career has been filled with successes, all to prove them wrong. I'm now an equity partner at one of the best law firms in the world. I have a great roster of clients. Have I achieved my parents' American dream? Some would say so. But I thought Dan's remarks tonight were very aligned with mine, no surprise. Because it's not enough. And I don't feel happy about where we are. After the Supreme Court's decision on affirmative action, MIT just released their recent statistics. Black enrollment has gone from 15% to 5%. Latino enrollment has gone from 16% to 11%. And this is just the first year after the decision. And we know that many law firms and corporations are cutting back on their diversity initiatives. Why? The Supreme Court decision didn't even touch private practice. It was a narrow decision dealing only with education. Yet these big companies, these big law firms, whose business it is to not be bullied, whose business it is to fight against bullshit cases, are somehow backing down. So are we going back 40 years? Are we going back to that homogeneous, monochromatic society where everybody thinks the same, acts the same, talks the same? Is that what's best for this profession? Is that what's best for this country? I say no. But again, going back to the judge's words when my dad was being sworn in as a U.S. citizen, we have a responsibility. And I realized that after 25 years of benefiting tremendously from this organization, getting mentors, getting leadership skills, getting clients, getting friends, getting a familia, I realized I had to do more. I realized it's my time to pick up that hammer. And that's why I decided to run for president of this organization. So I've spent the last year training, as a good athlete would, to get ready for my moment. I've spent training and learning from the very best, from our now immediate past president, Dan Mateo. Dan has been an incredible source of inspiration to me. I have learned so much at his side. He is one of the best lawyers, leaders, and human beings that I have ever met. And if you didn't feel it tonight, I don't know what's wrong with you, because he is one of the most authentic and genuine people I've ever had the privilege of knowing. Dan, thank you for your guidance, your training, and from letting me learn from you this past year. This training has led me to have a plan. A plan based on 4 principles. Those principles are partnership, pipeline, promotions, and performance. Now, you'll learn more about the plan throughout the course of the year. I won't go into detail this evening. But essentially, we need to do more to promote our organization and to promote each other. We have an incredible amount of talent in this room, and we need to tell the world about it. We need a better pipeline. Based on MIT statistics, we are at risk in the future of not having enough lawyers join this organization. We are at risk in the future of not having a strong pipeline to the bench, to equity partnerships, to general counsel positions. So my plan will focus on the pipeline. I will also focus on performance. All of you in this room know it's not ever been enough to just be good. A lot is expected of us. There is no room for error. And we need to continue to train our folks and give them the tools to be high-performing individuals and lawyers. And lastly, partnerships. I want to thank the incredible sponsors that are in this room tonight. If it weren't for your money, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. I want to thank Microsoft, Apple, Prudential, Liberty, all of you. Thank you for the support that you give us. But I know it's not enough that you just give us money and come to this great party. I want to go on a listening tour and figure out how we can help you, because I know your diversity programs are also at risk. And so we as an organization need to be better partners to you. It's a two-way street. The only other difference, now that I have this plan, is when I pick up the hammer, I won't be alone. I will have an army behind me. That army includes, first and foremost, my firm, Deckert. Particular thank you to Mark, Vince, Satra, but all of you that have showed up here tonight. My heart is filled with joy. You are such wonderful colleagues. You support me every day at work, but the fact that you're here and on a Friday night to support me means the world to me, so thank you all. I wouldn't be able to do this without the support of my firm. My army includes my clients who put their trust in me every day. Andre, thank you so much for doing us the honor of speaking to us this evening. I have had the pleasure of knowing Andre Iguodala for a decade, serving as his outside counsel. But the true privilege of working with Andre isn't the fact that he's this amazing superstar on the court, but you got a little inkling tonight of what an incredible man he is, an incredible businessman, executive, strategist, author. And so it was really a privilege. Thank you for putting your trust in me, and thank you for making the time to speak to us this evening. My army includes my good friends like Dee Smith. Dee, I can't believe how long we've known each other. You have been through thick and thin with me. You have supported me. You have opened doors for me. You have shown me true servant leadership. I cherish our relationship, our family's relationship, and to all my friends that are here tonight, thank you, because your moral support, I just wouldn't be able to do what I do without having had you by my side. So thank you. Thank you, Dee, for the very kind remarks. My army, of course, includes my army spouse, Chad Sarchio. My husband of 27 years, who's been my champion, my cheerleader, my supporter, my pusher when I just don't want to do things, and he's telling me, you got to go for more, you got to go for more. Thank you, honey, for all your love and support. And thank you to my beautiful children, my son Evan, who's 21 and a senior at Duke, and my daughter Raquel, who's 18 and a freshman at JMU. Thank you for putting up with a lawyer mom, but also someone who does so much. I know there's been a lot of missed games and events, but you've always known how important these are to me, and you've always been by my side, and thank you for your support. My army also includes my new president-elect, Rosabeli Marquez Morales. I am so delighted to be working with Rosabeli this coming year. We are going to have a great time. And she's so inspiring, and I'm delighted. But my army also includes the HNBA staff. I'm with Alba and the national office, and my new board. Looking forward to working with each and every one of you. And my army includes each and every one of you in this room. I'm going to call on you for help. I'm going to call on your sweat equity. I'm going to call on you for money. I'm going to call on you for ideas. I need you. Now, why should you answer the call? You are here looking beautiful this evening. You're able to afford this dinner, afford the registration fee, so clearly you're doing well. So you're comfortable, as Dan pointed out. We're all a little complacent. Things are good. Why should you answer my call? Let me ask you this. Look at what your families did for you. Your families left behind their families, their language, their culture to come to this country. They gave everything up to give you opportunities that they never had. So ask yourself, am I doing enough to make them proud? Are you where you should be in your career. You're probably doing fine. Is it good enough? Are you an equity partner at your law firm? Are you the general counsel of your company? Are you a judge? Are you an executive director of a nonprofit association, a CEO? Are you where you deserve to be? Because you are resilient. No one has the work ethic you have. No one has the smarts that you have. No one has the passion that you have. If not you, who? So when I call you, I hope you will pick up the phone. I hope that you will join me to be the change makers, the trailblazers, the leaders that can build a legacy that not only honors the sacrifices that your families made for you to be here tonight, but the legacy that our future generations will be proud of. Only then can we shatter the status quo, and only then will we finally be able to move the needle. Buenas noches.